Good evening, everyone. If you join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What is a little slow, isn't it, Joe? Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Rutland Select Board meeting for February 4th, 2020. Our first meeting back here at Town Hall after the renovations that went on for a couple months. So we'll get right to it. Have all board members seen the orders?
Mm-hmm. I have.
Okay.
I have.
We have 2 sets of minutes to approve. The first being...
Did these?
No, the second one was that short meeting
Oh,
to
the
pay
short
the
one, okay.
carpenter.
Yep.
The first minutes of January 21st. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Motion by Sharon. Is there a second?
So moved.
Second by Joe. Any deletions, corrections, additions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Here, Joe. We had a very brief select board meeting on January 24th to authorize the final payment for Kyle Bedard Carpenter. Myself, John Paul, and Joe DiNardo were there. So
Move that meeting, that we can't do them.
Can't do 'em.
Nope, have to sit on
it'll
that.
wait for.
Yep.
No JP.
We'll hold off on those. All right. This time, the board would entertain any questions from the floor, public comment, anyone who's not on the agenda who wishes to speak at this time. Okay, hearing none. We'll get right to it. Bill Sweet, Town Administrative Assistant to the Select Board. Bill, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Got plenty to go over tonight. In the packet for you, number one, the upcoming events, and I wanted to remind about the meeting tomorrow morning on Ranbury Road for the water line project. Otter Creek Engineering is going to be there, but they've opened it up for any of the bidders to come and do. He told me they've already, the day after they put the bids out, they were receiving them, so it's already getting some attention on it. So that's a good thing.
I'm not able to attend. Or do we have any board members who can?
Yeah, I'll be there, and I
Mary,
think Joe's
Joe.
there. Yeah.
Okay.
So number 2 is the
Byron's
advertisement.
going there. Okay.
Yep.
Number 2 is the advertisement for the bids that was sent out. So that's published in paper.
Who wrote
and
this?
They did.
Okay, they did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So that was in the paper for a couple days, and it's been out and around. So it's definitely gotten some attention, which is good.
So we're opening the bids when?
The 18th, the next meeting.
Okay.
So the bids are due the 14th by 12 p.m. And then they'll be opened on the 18th. He and I made some changes to this. He originally had the board opening them
Okay.
on like that Friday, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, no, that's not good. So
Yeah, okay.
we fixed that.
Good.
So yeah, so bids are due a week from Friday here by 12 p.m. and then they'll be opened at the next meeting. We haven't received any yet, but he said there's been we haven't seen it here yet, but he said they've gotten some interest in it. So
Okay, good.
number 3, so I put that back in there. You and Joe had signed that, but I didn't know if you wanted to send it to. We wanted to get the more signatures, the merrier on that. So those.
Yeah,
that's
so we
in
only
there.
had 2 of us here
Yeah.
last time, so John Paul called in from the phone on that meeting of the 24th.
Oh, yeah.
So
This is to certify that we're aware of a match for the Windmere Pond retrofit. And we would provide our match 50% with either cash contributions or in kind, and I suspect we'll be doing quite a bit of in kind. Do we have a, yeah, okay.
Sharon, if you'd like to sign.
So number 4 was the letter written, but it's been revised. And
This isn't the new one. Did you give me the new one?
the new,
Sure.
that is the new one.
Select Board of the Town of Rutland takes special pleasure in offering you our sincerest congratulations upon your appointment to the Vermont Supreme Court. You do our town proud. That's the one. All right.
You don't have to. You know, you can send it out for the 4th revision.
I am
But,
all about signing it, so please. So congratulations to Supreme Court Justice Cohen. Little piece of Rutland town in
Indeed.
Supreme Court now.
I did
so.
see him. He was, and he reports that he has a nice office space. I did ask.
That's good to
so,
hear.
Yes.
Number 5 was requested copies of the letters sent regarding Grover Drive, and I did talk to Bronson Spencer. He said he was coming tonight, so that's for his. He does not have copies of those letters, but those are for you.
Okay.
And then number 6 was sent to us by the Regional Planning Commission, looking for the contact information for the Public Works Mutual Aid Agreement. So that's 2 different things. So when we're giving aid or when we're requesting aid, who the contact information should be for. So
I'd imagine it's Byron, right?
I think that makes sense, but I wanted to give you guys the input on that. So if you want,
Did you see this, By?
I gave it to you. You gave it back to me.
Have something on
Yes,
file.
Yeah.
saw that.
So you would be
So
the
who's-
person?
And who's the alternate?
I thought Bill Sweet.
Bill? Yeah, okay.
You fill it out, Billy.
Or whoever sits in that
I can do
chair.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
That's fine.
okay.
All right, so that is everything for the packet. On your desks are the calls for service from the PD, from Chief Dumas. Josh, you have a folder there for liquor licenses,
Okay.
and those have, they've all been cleared.
Yep. Okay.
And
So there's another one on my desk here. Once again, we approved 2 weeks ago, if you recall, the use of the meeting room for Fire District 5. They're specifically asking for a police officer to be at the meetings. Ed, is that, Chief Dumas, that's something that you can, either you or one of your officers can do?
I suspect it can.
Okay.
When's the next one coming up?
The next one coming up is, what do they say, the 3rd?
February 17th.
It says on here.
So the other thing that we are, I think it's only fair, we're collecting the $50 from them to offset the cost of whoever we have here. We need to come up with a way to compensate, the officer who's sitting here, because this is not. So make sure, Chief, you or your officers are putting it on your timesheet that you're doing
Yes,
this, okay?
please, yeah.
What time is it? 6 o'clock?
7 p.m.
And let us know if that $50 doesn't cover everything, because it's for 2 hours, so it may not.
Well, I think when Andy was at the meeting, we talked about being a police officer. He said he realized it may be more
Yeah,
than the 50 to cover that. So
okay.
Also on 2020 initial boundary validation program. What's this, Bill?
yeah, so that's for the census.
Yeah.
They sent us a boundary map, which I gave to Howard, and he says it's all good. Just saying, yes, you agree this is the boundary of your municipality for the 2020 census. So
Does the board authorize me to sign this? Motion by Joe. Is there a second?
Yeah, I was smiling because I'm tempted to go instead of highest elected official, tribal chair, which I think is pretty nifty.
I do see that. Tribal chair. I is the tribal chair / highest elected official.
Yeah, okay, so,
The legal boundary for our government is correct?
it is correct. Yes.
Okay.
okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Just down there where it says Rutland, Josh, add the word town.
That was pre-filled in. So I saw that too.
I'm
but
going to fix it for
Yeah,
them.
fix it
Fix
for
it.
them.
that was
Would you please?
pre-filled in.
Thank you.
Today is the, what did we say, the 4th?
Today's the 4th. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You also have on there a request for the meeting room from Windmere, the homeowners association. They want to meet here to discuss the town taking over the road. They want to meet on the 13th at 2 p.m. here. That currently has no conflict. So, and it's during the hour, during the day. They don't think it's going to take 2 hours, but That's
That should be
another thing
fine, right?
on there,
Yeah.
so both of those are good.
We have several liquor licenses here
Yes, you do.
to handle. We talked about some of these already, right? This is JW Sandry, the Sunoco on South Main Street. These have all been looked at, Chief Dumas?
By one person or another, yes.
Okay. So, there's that. There's Hannaford's. There
Separating
is.
some of those envelopes because they may have checks in them, and
Yeah, well, the system here isn't exactly great. Sorry.
it's okay.
So, Sandry's, Hannaford's. What is this place here?
I think one of them was the mobile station by
99 Restaurant.
Okay, yeah.
This is the Jolly by Home Depot, as we
Yep.
talked about. This is East Restaurant, the Chinese restaurant. This is the Chinese restaurant again. So, would the board like to approve all of one motion or individually?
Yeah, I think one motion will do. Based upon the representation of the chief that there are no issues with any of them, I would move we approve.
Second.
Motion by Mary, second by Sharon. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I will start to circulate them around for signatures.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
Jeez, Bill.
I know.
There's an approved and disapproved.
There's an approved and a disapproved
I want
section.
to make sure we do it in the right place.
That's probably important, yeah.
It's on
You don't
page
need us, you got Joe. Joe's gonna coach
Well,
you through this.
I remember
right.
that we did
Right.
them wrong. We did them wrong one time.
Did we? That must have been a shock
Not
on
me.
the receiving end.
Must have been before my time.
I'm looking for the chicken scratching because that's where we
Just,
signed.
yeah, just find the. Save the best for last, Mary, for you to sign.
Well, I'll just add it to
What do
the
we just
pile
initial
here,
the
so
first?
it's good.
No, that's Josh's hand scratching.
Okay. Oh, okay.
That's his signature, Dr. Terenzini.
Okay. All right.
I picked,
So be,
I get to do
be
that.
nice to our tribal chief.
Tribal chief, that's right.
I'm here.
Cecil. What else you got for us, Bill?
The town report proof has been received and reviewed and approved and is back with the printers
And I gotta tell you,
ahead of schedule.
that was that's incredible work what
Nice
you put
work.
together.
Oops.
Yay.
Yep, sorry, Joey.
So,
Yeah, I'm very happy to have it gone.
looked nice, and thanks for all that.
Yep.
Yes.
So it is being printed. They have the address list. They have a check for the postage. So the next time everybody sees it, it'll be in their mailbox. So
They're doing the mailing themselves.
they're doing the everything else.
It's a nice.
Yes.
So it probably actually saved money.
It actually did save money. It actually did. Yep.
Because we would have to pay for pizza and soda and all of the other stuff.
We saved money on postage.
Yeah.
Like it just because we don't have to pay the bulk rate anymore because that's all we ever used it for was for the town reports. We're not paying the bulk rate for the postage anymore. So like
Okay.
it just
Fine.
there's all sorts of good things about that. The application period is open for VLCT for the safety grant. Again, right now, that's what we've used the last couple of years to do a variety of projects around. There was no real big projects or anything left over from the last couple of years. So I've put a copy of the grant information in each of the department's mailboxes. So they can review it and we can compile it if they want to come up with anything. So this year, there's a $5,000 maximum award. So we can apply for up to $10,000 in equipment to get $5,000 back. And that's a combined total. So if we want to do anything, I'll certainly help anybody that wants, any of the departments that want to do that. But they all have the information, or if anything anything we can think of, I think we have through October to apply for it, but
okay.
it's better to do it earlier rather than later. And the last thing is you have the budget status reports on your desk.
I had a couple highlights. I went through it, and I always go through it and highlight where we've deficit spent for the fiscal year. The miscellaneous expense, we've deficit spent by $700. Do you know what that was about?
I'm pretty sure that was related to the retirement party.
Yes, it was. And the computer services, we overspent by $2,000.
Yep, we did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Leave it at that.
We unfortunately didn't do a effective job of kind of bundling our calls to them, and several calls were made in rapid succession, which resulted in trip charges and other things like that, which we otherwise would have been able to combine into one trip. We're done as 3 or 4 or 5, and that
They're 0.8 of a mile that way. The trip charge shouldn't be that much.
it's a flat fee.
Of what?
So I think it's $15 for them to come out here, and then there's a per hour rate. So it's a minimum of an hour. So there's just some things that happened the way they happened, and I've got a list now, and we haven't actually called them in quite a while. So
Okay.
we've got a lot of things straightened out.
And I just had a couple things for Byron when he comes up.
So I wanted to bring this up in relation to under old business, the Joe's motion from last meeting for the work on the building.
Yes.
So that's on page 3. It's 5205. So the budget balance is $11,500. You just approved a check for $14,000-ish for Kyle.
We approved that 2 weeks ago.
Right, but it was put in, she said it wasn't reflected in here yet. So that's
So
now.
we deficit spent our building maintenance line.
Well, we have an $800 rebate coming from Green Mountain Power for the heat pumps, and we have $4,000 or so coming from Efficiency Vermont to go back to that, and then we have $1,700 roughly to spend this year for the cleaning expenses for the building.
So we're out of money.
We're going to be basically even on that. So there are other places in the budget that haven't gone over, but in terms of being able to do the project, that's up to you guys, but that's kind of where we're at. It seems like when I talked to Susan, she had said that this total, the balance, did not include Kyle's expense, which kind of makes sense. I mean, that's what we were thinking we were, but the overage that we ended up, because of the difference in projects and changes in the project, is what made the impact.
Yeah, I think like getting the stone done might have been a little more if we took that out of there.
Stone was a little more, but things like the window, right? The whole list he sent. I mean, there were some things I was able to get him to reduce, but it wasn't a huge amount.
So the request that was,
We wanted to do the water, we were gonna do the.
the water fountain in the
water
hallway?
fountain, and then get the painting done.
That's gonna have to wait till
It's
the
gonna have
next-
to wait.
Yeah,
That's all.
okay.
It's not anything life-threatening or building-threatening. It's no big deal.
No, but man,
It's aesthetics looking, but you can't ask somebody to do the work and not pay them, so it's been there for all these years. It'll
Yeah.
last
So-
another 4 months.
After we get through this orders, we'll have her run this again just to double check that. We can bring it back in 2 weeks and see where it actually stands. And we should have the check from Efficiency Vermont by, they said mid-month this month, so we should have it by then. We've gotten one rebate check from Green Mountain Power, which is not reflected in here, for $400. We've got another one coming. So the $4,000 from Efficiency Vermont definitely helps to offset
Yeah.
some of that. But that's where it stands at the moment for that. So.
That work?
Yeah, I think it'll be okay. So the other thing we were juggling just a bit was the stormwater. And we want to, we sort of, 2 meetings ago, we said to Andres, here's what we have that you can spend toward, and then we had an expenditure the last time around, right? I'm looking at
I haven't
Aaron's.
received an invoice from him for a little while.
Okay,
So and I brought this up, there's money in Byron's budget for stormwater.
yeah, there's 2
And,
places.
and then there's money in the general for
Yep.
stormwater, so I don't know which one we use for which projects. Is yours more for actually doing stuff?
No,
I don't know.
there's a separate line item for some engineering, but
Yeah.
then there's
the stormwater line item, which I use to pay for permit fees, which are annual fees, like.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
An annual fee we pay every year for the wind rates, and an annual fee we pay every year for the
And I think Andre's, payments come out of the general, out of that other 30,000 that's in there. That, I think that's where we take the,
One bill, it was something for I paid one bill.
Yeah.
yeah. Because when you look at
I haven't
the,
seen the bill from Andre for quite a while.
yeah, like the MS4 stuff is, it's not specific to just highway. I mean, that's a town expense where we would take that out of the general probably. So,
The other thing Susan we were talking about was under the revenue line, 4303, the local option, is ahead of
Okay.
what the projection was,
Good.
which is good. So we've received 2 payments, so we should be at 50% and we're at 60%. So that's a
Pretty good, yeah.
healthy.
And that wasn't the holiday quarter yet.
No, we just received for the two quarter. I'm not sure when the last one came, but we received two so far
Yeah,
based
but
upon.
what I'm saying is it should not. It didn't include the Christmas season.
I don't think so. Yeah,
That'd be the next payment.
Right.
So that should be the healthiest of the 4.
Yep. So that's a good trend.
depends on when it came because we're into February, so that might be.
I'm not sure.
That might be quarter
Filing
one.
deadline for that quarter would have been January 25th.
Yeah.
So businesses would have had to pay by the 25th.
Yeah.
I don't think they turn it around that quick.
You never know. Doesn't matter. It's what it is.
Anyways, it's good news.
It is, yes.
So I think, it might not be a big deal, but I think we need to come up with a few dollars to buy a couple gallons of paint, and some of us can paint that wall above the water fountain for
I'll
now.
help paint.
I'm not bad at it.
I'm not bad at it at all.
We just spent hundreds of thousands of dollars renovating this place for the
We
last
didn't
5
spend
years.
hundreds. We didn't spend hundreds.
No,
Don't
I'm
get-
more
not
than
hundreds of
willing.
thousands.
We
I'm
did
more than
over the
willing to
last
pay.
5 years.
Hundreds of thousands?
That cost us 50. That cost us 70. So there's 120.
Well, that's not
We did
hundreds.
bathrooms. So
We
say
did
we
windows.
spent 150.
Yeah.
So
And
get a
now,
gallon
now
of
you
paint
walk
and
into
paint it,
town.
and then-
Now you walk into town hall, and the first thing you see is a wall with sheetrock that needs to be painted.
I'll
We could do
paint.
little touch-ups in here, too.
You know what I'm saying? I
A
mean,
lot of stuff-
I'll
it's
paint.
not
I have
the-
no problem.
It's not the end of the world.
it's
Just as long
aesthetically
as you
not
guys have got
pleasing.
ladders.
We just spent
Drop
150
cloths.
grand in 5 years, and now we can't come up with. So
That
I'd like
would
to
be
buy a couple gallons, and Billy and I and Sharon can have a painting party.
There you are.
Apparently I'm
Mary,
left out,
please
so,
come.
you know.
Yep.
Please come.
Drop cloths.
We'll
Your
reinstate
carpet
the town report
I'm good at painting.
assembly for a
be
painting
here.
party
I
instead. So
understand that, but you gotta take time out because the wall was not properly readied for the paint that's coming off. So you go put more paint on a wall that's not ready, we're just gonna do it twice. That's all I'm gonna tell you.
So
We've
what are
already
you
done it
Joey?
once, we gotta do it twice, so you guys do it, then we're gonna do it 3 times.
Okay,
So, but I'm gonna
back up.
spend
So what are you
it's gonna
saying
cost me
needs
80
to be
bucks in
done?
paint.
Well,
Prime.
the gentleman that wants to redo the hallway has given us a price for properly preparing the walls to be painted with the proper paint. If you go and paint that and it's not the right, it just adds more to what he's gotta do because now he's got there was a gloss paint that was not properly sanded so the new paint doesn't stick and it's peeling. I don't know, that little spot right there, you can just heal it. You need about a
Well, you soft sand the whole wall, and then you paint it.
we just.
This is sounding
but it
less
just-
like fun.
It gets more complicated all the time.
It's not going to be fun, but it's what this town deserves is some paint on the wall, and we can't help that we overspent that line. It's no one's fault. But you walk into town hall and you look at a wall with freaking sheetrock.
You're the only one that notices it. Most people don't even see it. And the only reason you notice it is because we spent some money to put lights out there so you can see now you're not in the bat cave anymore.
we may have enough
none
paint
of you
down.
Shut the
noticed-
lights off, Billy. They won't notice that.
None of you noticed the tree gone out front except me.
Well, I noticed it, but the point is we got to fix that before July. It shouldn't sit like that for 5 months.
We can do that.
You can paint one wall, right?
Yeah, we may even have. We
That's
may
what I'm
even-
talking about. I'm
we
not
may have
painting the
enough-
whole hallway.
I think that we should just wait and see where this dust settles for the money, and then we can go from there.
You come in one day and you'll be so surprised to see it.
I won't even
painted,
notice
Joe.
it because it doesn't bother me. Aesthetics are not the problem.
But I
That just gives
understand
people
that.
a fake sense of security.
It
that
doesn't. The
building
townspeople
was-
pay their taxes. They expect the building to look nice. This is their
will
build.
look
This is the
nice.
people's building.
Yeah,
We got
it will.
freaking sheetrock out here. Excuse my language.
It's a lot better than it did. Move on.
Billy, we're gonna get 2 gallons of paint. We're gonna paint.
I think
We're having a painting party. And I'll make the meatball grinders.
I like that.
Oh, God, we're gonna get stuff all over white paint.
now you're talking.
Ew.
All right, what else you got?
that is all I have for you.
All right. Thank you. That was enough.
Okay.
More than enough.
Bronson Spencer's in the house. We're gonna go to you, sir. Come on up. And Byron can join him if you would.
Just come on up, I mean.
I'm sorry. Come right to the table. Unless you want to sit here, you can.
There's no prize behind any curtain, so you just have to.
Used to do that, don't wanna do it anymore.
So Bronson, thanks for coming. We appreciate you attending.
Your administrative assistant didn't make it sound like it was an option.
It's his job.
He did a good job then.
What's up, guys?
Where would we like to start? Byron, do you want to give us a fresh recap of how we got to this place tonight?
Yeah, the select board authorized me early fall, I guess, to contact Bronson and have him come up with a game plan for restoring the town's easement area on Grover Drive for our use of storing stormwater. I guess it has kind of morphed into instead of trying to restore something that's probably only going to handle a small amount of stormwater and not Mr. Ragosta, Bronson has drawn up a plan to lay a pipe from that area, which would also service that area to daylight. I was approached, I think by Jim, and he wanted to know if they could do an open cut, and I said, if you want to do an open cut, I'll give you the permit for it. I said, just be sure your neighbor, Mr. Bullock, is not too concerned about having his driveway dug up and that sort of thing. And I guess I've been told that's all okay. So I mean, no formal permits have been issued for anything. So in the meantime, Mr. Spencer has gone ahead and drawn this plan up for doing just exactly that. I thought from the correspondence that Bill had written to Mr. Ragosta that we were going to pay for the restoration, the restoration plan for this, and Mr. Ragosta was supposed to come up with his own engineering, whatever, to lay the pipe. I think there might be some confusion here with
There's a lot of confusion.
with Bronson. And the last meeting that I had with Bronson at his place when we initially went over this plan, that was mentioned to him, and that's why I came back to the select board, I think prior to the Christmas break at some time, and said we need to sit down and kind of iron out the financials here. And it should be done in this venue so that everybody is talking to everybody. So here we are. And
Okay.
I don't know what Mr.
So as I understand it,
I don't know what
the
he's got in,
problem is
I don't know what
because
this
of the-
costs right here, but
but the problem is because
don't
the
know.
ghost created
I
it,
don't either, yeah.
then he should pay for it.
I haven't added it up.
What's the bill on that, Bronson?
Don't know. I don't know. And there's two reasons I don't know. I haven't kept the running total.
Pro bono?
Probably not.
Parts of it appear they could be, but it's not my intent.
Because I thought, the way we
I'll spring for a new pencil sharpener for him.
had planned was that we would pay for Bronson to design a restoration plan, and Mr. Ragosta would be responsible for doing the restoration according to that plan.
Correct.
And then the water that is coming from his sump pumps, which is part of this problem, he was to do whatever to directional bore or do something to end up with that water in J.R. Bullock's pond.
Right. Well, he came to me and wanted to know if they could do an open cut instead of a directional bore.
Right.
And I assume, well, I'm not gonna make any assumptions here why that was. but
All a direct cut from across his property and JR's property?
Yes.
And did JR cool with that?
In the, apparently, from what Jim said.
Yeah, well, I'd want to know from the horse's mouth
Yeah.
that it was,
Well, Bronson just said yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you must have knowledge of this.
We've talked about it.
I mean, JR didn't, I mean, I saw JR down at Olivia's and he said he didn't have a problem with the water being discharged down the ditch and into his pond.
So we
Okay.
the deal was
That
we
I
were
can
gonna pay for the design, and then Mr. Ragosta's on the hook for the actual construction, right?
Of the, water line or that, what is it, stormwater retention area, whatever you
Yeah.
wanna call it.
Right.
Because we didn't feel there was a problem there prior to the additional water.
There wasn't any, no.
And the water didn't get over Grover Drive, to the best of our knowledge.
No.
Prior to that.
Go ahead, Bronson.
Well, the thing is, when we first started this, Byron, we went up there and we looked at it, and you and I talked a little bit about what to do with your basin, and kind of agreed on a couple of things, and you said, do you want to draw the plans? I don't need any plans, do it yourself. You didn't need it. So the only time when you guys came, or when you came to me, I understood that, as you just said, it's morphed, and that the engineering was to include getting rid of Ragosta's water, because I have no contract with Ragosta. I'm
Right.
willing not to have one with you, but based on my assumption that I was dealing with the town, we don't have a contract with Ragosta, and I feel a tiny little bit vulnerable. But the thing to do really is to stop worrying about my pocketbook and his ego, and what do you want to do? How do you want to do this? I never saw the correspondence of which you speak, by the way.
So what's the pros and cons of doing a ditch versus doing the directional bore?
The difference in cost?
Yeah, well, since it's on Mr. Ragosta's.
yeah,
out of
that's
his
not our
pocketbook,
cost.
But still, I mean, pros and cons for the town,
For the town,
yeah.
money aside, the directional bore is definitely preferable.
Okay, why?
But the difference in money
Less
is
invasive.
dramatic.
Okay.
Maybe a factor of 10 or 15.
Which way? To put in the bore?
The bore is much more expensive.
Okay. So what you've designed, is it also taking runoff from what's the town's easement area that's been disturbed?
Yes.
And that includes ditching all the way from that pond, that retention area down across Ragosta's property and Bullock's and into the pond.
Well, we're going to use the existing ditch for part of that.
Okay.
But it goes most of the way across Bullock's.
Okay.
It stops before that little driveway that he put in with, it's got a little 10-inch culvert under it.
Big difference would be maintenance, wouldn't it? I mean, if it's a ditch, we've got to maintain it.
Is it a ditch or is it a buried pipe?
Well,
What, are
that's
you
the
talking an
question.
open ditch,
Yeah.
Bronson, or
No,
buried
it's
culvert?
a buried pipe.
You're putting in
Okay,
an 8 or
alright.
10-inch culvert.
Yeah, smaller than that, actually.
Wet area all the way till you
Gotcha.
bank the crest of the hill.
Okay.
Down over the hill until we can get it to come to daylight.
So
So
there'll be nothing
you're
exposed.
back to talking about a pipe, buried pipe, but
Yeah,
it's different from a directional bore.
Yes.
That's a buried pipe, but it's done without opening the ground up. They just bore a hole and push the pipe with it.
A directional bore is like taking a well drilling machine and turning it sideways and they drill horizontally.
Yep.
Like they did, like the city did to put the water line underneath the creek.
Yep.
They did a directional bore.
Okay.
And so I think the
Who's
only,
gonna maintain the thing?
it's a buried culvert, so
It's
it's,
in the town's right of way and it will be ours to maintain.
Well, it's ours to maintain, but the water somehow from the basement, the water comes from the basement, where does it go?
Into the beginning of this pipe. We've got it set up so that the discharge from your basin and the discharge from his sump pump, if you will, go into the same 15-inch culvert at the beginning of the pipe that goes down the road ditch. Would it help if I showed you a picture?
so is the only
Let me
thing
come
we're
up.
talking
Okay.
about kind of is the additional cost of designing the pipe from that area along the side of the road. That's
Sounds like it's
what
been
Bronson has
designed.
done.
The design is done. I
Right.
just
We
I
authorized,
thought we should straighten out the financials first.
I mean, I
Well,
can't
Mr.
imagine,
Ragosta created the problem. Mr. Ragosta should pay for it.
well, right,
Oh,
but
I
the,
got
the issue is the additional design work for the pipe.
Catch basin here, 6-inch
Yeah.
pipe to
Get that note,
So basically,
and then there's a 6-inch inlet here.
because I have an idea.
so
This area able to
Okay.
retain water, should it fill up?
Come in the side
it
of
will
the structure.
overflow and go down the pipe. Right.
If there's another house here,
Right.
and there's more water than.
So that can get,
Right here.
so it's like,
It's
we
gonna
can
run
clean it.
apart.
It's actually,
I mean, I said this right along, this is the way to go. Either directional boring or open ditch.
So
because
he's gotta
this,
clean
in the
over
end, it's gonna
here.
benefit us.
His own
My
property.
concern was that Mr. Ragosta should
like a
be
planning
paying for
commission meeting,
restoring
Barb.
it, and we were gonna foot the bill for the design.
It's not restoring anything other than seeding and
Right.
grading the bottom and seeding. and mulching.
Right, now.
Not putting the dirt back.
what do we do with this?
Because that's not gonna work. anymore.
Push the soil back?
I think the question of cost is the additional design work for this portion. We did not ask Bronson to do this on
So
our
instead
nickel,
of spending
Someplace to accumulate.
whatever number,
time and money to come up with a
So,
plan.
yeah,
right.
that
there was
is
some
put into
discussion
this.
early on of making
So
this
to me, it's
Who
six,
gave him,
sponge.
who gave him permission to do this?
Yeah, so it,
That's
because
what I said, it was
we got land up here.
Well,
It's gonna be
I didn't
flowing.
really give him.
So is this, I don't wanna do anything that's gonna
Right,
but it's,
right.
limit
But-
or
I think it just
lessen.
kind of morphed into that.
absorption
That's what I
here.
said. It just kind of,
You're in the water.
Yeah.
this seemed to be a whole lot better alternative than trying to restore something that
it's not gonna be restorable.
No, we don't.
that will probably end up taking more water.
You're a lawyer, I'm an engineer. You don't have to.
Okay, I get it.
The microphone's still on.
So, I mean, the design to do this versus design
Okay, I
this,
get it now. Thank
probably
you.
not that much
Trying to
difference
get
in
it
cost.
pinned down.
All that being said, shall I send a bill?
Well,
The actual, the
Yeah,
actual
that's-
construction of the pipe, well, the actual construction of the pipe is still on Mr.
I
Ragosta.
can
That's
visualize
his
it
number.
enough.
That's it. And the seating,
right.
and the seating down of that area will be on him.
All right, so we just had two side conversations here. So
Okay.
did we just explain the same thing, Byron to these two, Bronson to Mary?
You guys using the same diagram?
Yes, we got the same picture,
Okay, so we just had two of the same lessons.
basically.
All right, so so to get back to the question, right? The town with this board had talked, and we had said we'd take care of partnering
engineering.
with the engineering with Bronson, but the actual construction costs are what we expect the Ragostas
That's
to
right.
do.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so that hasn't changed.
Right.
Nope.
So now do we have a cost to do this trench, Bronson? Did you,
The construction cost?
right?
No. Somebody's been talking, well, wait a minute, somebody's been talking about Tommy Grace is gonna do it. And I have no idea what that
Nobody
arrangement.
at this
Not
board
on
has
the
been
town,
talking about that.
no.
No. No, that's Jimmy Ragosta would be hiring, from all intents that I have heard through Tommy Grace,
Okay.
that he's gonna have young Grace do it, and that's why I think young Grace wanted to do something of this nature, because he doesn't have the technology to do a.
Well, I don't think we don't care, right? Who Jim
No,
hires?
care
It's
who-
it's
who
his
does
As long as he
business.
pays for it,
As long as it's done to these specifications.
right, and done to those
And I've
specifications.
developed these specifications with Mr. Spencer.
And the,
So Bronson, you got to come up with a price for us because we owe you some money.
so the.
Okay.
What I'm done.
Yeah.
Sounds like your work's done, right?
This guy's done, I wanna write some specifications which would protect you guys. For instance, things like how much insurance do you want him to have so he doesn't cave your road in? That sort of thing.
Thank you.
And there needs to be somewhere in writing or clarification that JR doesn't have a problem with them cutting the driveway.
Right.
Because I don't want
Yeah.
that to come back to bite us either, you know, what we're doing, because this is gonna be in the town right away.
Correct.
Whatever. And as far as the design costs, I think go, the lesser amount of money spent on trying to restore that area, just to seed it down and go, and then getting rid of the water this way, that cost, it's probably a moot point.
Perhaps to you.
Well, no, I'm saying, it is, if you had gone more extensively on what to do in that part, that would take in more of your time. So you've come up with a simpler plan for that and put a little more time into getting rid of the water, which I think is a better way to go. So,
Yeah, I like what you said. I would also note that the basement drainage does not go back into that pond. It goes into a separate structure and then right into the ditch. And and we're not, the town is not responsible for that. We're not gonna be, we've done where where it should run, and apparently it does run, at least in part already. But the town is not gonna do anything on that piece of private property.
And as long
We're
as,
responsible.
and as long as Mr. Agosta is clear that he has to take care of the costs involved with
Yep.
reseeding and kind of reestablishing that basin area and putting in the pipe. That's all on him. We did the design work and we're, I've said this right from the start, that I feel that putting the pipe in is, whether it was directional board or open ditch, it may be to the town's benefit down the road if another lot's built.
Or up the road,
Or whatever.
I think it would be to our benefit to have Mr. Ragosta in here so that he understands what we expect from him
And
before any of this project goes any further.
I think putting it in writing is sufficient.
yeah, just tell him, you know, we're
Mr.
covering the
Agosta's come to a
design
meeting
costs
or
and
two
he has
already.
to, he has to cover the construction costs.
I think that was articulated.
that's
I think
clearly-
Billy articulated
the
that to him
letters.
quite well.
I think that's in this letter that we
One or
have.
two letters that you sent to him.
This is the letter that was sent to him August 6th. You should have a copy of it.
Yeah, okay, I mean, because this letter addresses, the board will not grant permission for you just to discharge water into our stormwater storage
I
area.
see that.
So,
Yeah.
okay, good.
And the cost of construction is on him and we picked up the cost of design. This is a little different design than what we were thinking, but this is, to me, this is a better alternative. This is a more permanent solution to what could be a problem.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good.
Bronson, anything else?
No, and I want to make the price on this engineering right, because we'd sort of like to do some more work for you guys later, and I don't want to start off on a.
No.
Yeah, no, you're good. I mean, we didn't have any argument with you.
And it's always
Yeah.
difficult.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Bronson, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Bronson.
Byron, you want to just stay there since you're there?
Did you want
Can I
the,
go get my papers?
Sure.
Yep.
As you do that, we can handle letter B. Paul is not going to make it. Letter C, under new business, I am. Board to discuss select board meeting is scheduled for March 3rd. That's town meeting day. It would make sense just to move it to the 2nd for pre-town meeting. So 5 p.m. on the 2nd of March at the school. Okay?
You good with that, Sharon? You won't be here. Will you be here? You gonna be gone? Okay, well, we'll miss you.
5 p.m. at school. Bill, you got that? All right.
Second.
And then old business we've already talked about. We know that we don't have any money. So, let's go to Byron, who's sitting there. Byron, how are you?
Good.
Good.
Just a couple, three things here. The TAC committee of the RPC, we met again for the first time since the holiday break. And we have started in with a prioritization of projects. I have a large sheet here, homework to do, where we need to look these projects over. Do you want me to make copies for the board? Do you guys want to have some input into these? They're road and bridge projects. A lot of them are out of town.
Yeah, I would think we'd only care about the town ones, right?
Right.
The town are ones that would affect flow into the town or out of the town, so
Right.
yeah.
This
Okay.
summer, Center Rutland Business 4 is on the docket to get paved, right?
That's correct, which was my other thing.
Oh.
We had a kickoff meeting, yesterday, I think it was. Time goes by here. With all the partners there and all the formalities and whatever else.
Still 4 lanes with a bike path,
I did
right?
remind them, it's a, August 25th of 2020 completion date. So apparently it's on kind of a fast track. I did, reiterate to them that, there is a primary election during that time and that this office is a poll for one of those, and there are a significant number of older people that do come here and vote. And I said, you know, they can maybe offer issues with traffic control. So they were busy writing all those dates down, so they may, you know, shift their plan such that, you know, they avoid this area, you know, maybe start here and get past here right off. They have asked V-Trans for an early start, beginning 1st of April. And I assume that's to get some of that railroad work done and some of the work done at the jug handle, some of that excavating work. There's DIs that all have to be adjusted and taken care of. And there's a couple involved with the fire district over here that will be adjusted and taken care of. And hopefully they'll get that one down by the underpass adjusted and fixed, so to get rid of that awful bump that's down there.
When do we get our sidewalk, crosswalk?
I haven't seen the final plans. Now, that
Okay.
was supposed to be in the final plans.
Yes, it was bid. It
That
was,
the crosswalk was there. It was in the preliminary plans, and so I assume it's still there, that there'll be a
Okay.
crosswalk out here near this driveway.
okay.
Those plans still show 4 lanes with a bike path.
4 lanes with a bike path, 2 lanes out here with
Yeah,
a wide shoulder.
Okay.
Wide paved shoulder. Yep.
Rid of the
And that would be an out-of-town firm. I haven't seen any of Jay Hutchins' work. He's a Northern Vermont contractor, but got the bid on it. And then the last thing I have is the Windmere people have asked me to attend a meeting on February 13th at 2 o'clock. I think they've been in touch with Bill about the downstairs. And that will be to discuss their stormwater pond and taking over the road. They've invited me to come and speak. I said I would mention it here to this meeting.
Yeah.
If there's any of you people would like to attend or can attend, I would encourage it.
So we had one of our select board meetings, we talked about, or was it highway meeting, but exactly what we were looking for from them. If you could pull that out and make sure that that's what gets covered.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're all clear that, because they've got some work to do.
So I think Mike Apatow, I hope will be there, and the
Okay.
homeowners association, and those are the 2 parties involved with getting everything moving forward, and at least to get at a minimum an easement to at least do the stormwater
Yeah.
retrofit on the stormwater pond. That's part of our MS4
Yes.
obligations.
What day is it?
Mary and I will be in Waterbury that afternoon
The
for
13th?
another meeting, so
Yep.
we won't be available.
February 13th.
Because we
Sure.
just can't get enough
So
meetings.
when is it?
You're gonna be gone.
February 13th, 2
February
p.m.
13th.
At 2 PM?
That's a Thursday.
And that, is that here?
That's
No.
a Thursday downstairs.
A lot going on that week.
February 13th, again, at what time? I'm
2
sorry,
o'clock.
at 2?
You got time to get up and get your chores done.
I don't get up, I go to work at 6:37 in the morning. But yeah, I'll come in, unless something is
Yeah.
at work, but I'll let you know, but I'll come in.
And that's all I had.
Anything for Byron?
See you tomorrow morning.
Are you gonna make tomorrow morning? You're gonna try to be
Tomorrow
there?
morning, yes, it's on my
Agenda. Things to do for tomorrow. Okay.
to-do list for tomorrow.
Did we get our new roadside mowing tractor yet?
And that, yes, the tractor is here. For some reason, it's developed somewhere between Morrisville and here, a leak that we believe is in the hydraulic tank on the bottom, the way it sits in the bracket. There was no puddles under it. There was no anything when we looked at it, and now there is. They're sending a mechanic down probably next week to look at it. I've been under it and around it and over it, and Walt's been around it and under and over it, and Jason's been over and under it and around it, and Billy Ellis and his crew are going to take today and tomorrow, and they're going to go around it and under it and see if they can find something different other than the hydraulic tank. If it's the hydraulic tank, which is a welded seamed tank, it very well could be just a small little hairline crack that could be welded. But to get to the tank, you have to take the counterweight off, you have to take the rear tire off.
Have to drain the
Who's
oil.
Nickel?
We're working that out. Right now, they're sending a mechanic down to do an inspection and look it over and see what he recommends. And he's the mechanic that's worked on it. They did a complete service on the tractor. All the filters were changed from stem to stern, including the cab filters and everything. So, I mean, they've been very good to work with, and they haven't said, no, we aren't going to do anything. But, you know, we will. I don't know if something happened with, you know, chaining that thing down to the trailer, you know, or something that just disturbed something. I don't know. It's not a huge leak, but overnight it'll leave a little circle, a wet circle on the floor.
Did we pick it up and bring it home, or did they deliver it?
They delivered it.
So it should be on them.
It'll pretty much, I'm sure they'll make it right.
Yeah.
Because they know it didn't leak when it sat in their shop or where it was up
Right.
there, so it's,
And it was leaking before we took it out and tried it and ran it and whatever. It was leaking before that, so.
There just there's a couple little things, a couple $100 here and there that we were over in the highway budget, but and I think I asked this question once before, but it's an accounting issue the way we account for retreatment as to why it shows we are $71,000 in the hole, correct?
No, it's because we went over by $71,000 to help use up this
Surplus.
carryover that we've been
Right,
having.
that's what it
And you're
was.
gonna see it again next year. You're gonna see
Okay.
as much as $100,000 over.
Right.
To
So
use up
that's
that- use up
there's
that
an
carry.
answer though. That's not just that we
Yeah.
spent 71,000 more.
Right.
Right. Okay.
It's by design.
Right. Okay. Anything else for Byron?
Nope.
Thank you.
Right, bye. Thanks. Barbara Noyes pulling Town Planning Commission chair. How are you, Barb?
Good. Good evening. I've missed a meeting. I'm gonna miss the next meeting, so anything that I've missed during those meetings or any instructions for the planning commission?
No, I don't believe so.
Need any help with the pocket park or?
Well, we will. I'm gonna refocus on that this year and see if we can get that going. Yeah.
Since Barb mentioned it, I did for department heads and board members. We started to fill out the,
Yeah.
we had the 2019 list on the board. We crossed off 3/4 of it. We transferred some things to the easel over here. So I'm sure I missed a few things that we want to accomplish in 2020. So I'd love to add it to that if you see anything that I missed. The list is smaller than last year, which is a good thing.
that's the plan, right?
Okay. So, no, I think we caught up in the grocery store pretty well.
We did some, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything for Barbara?
Nope.
Barb, thank you.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Chris Clark, Town Fire Chief. Assistant Chief Delvin Aries here as well. Larry, good to see you. Good. Chief, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Just one thing tonight. Our new truck, we finally, I don't know if you remember in September, we didn't have all the finalized plans for the bed of it.
This is the Center Ellen pickup truck.
Correct.
Okay.
So Jim Earl came down and we went through our plans with him, and so out of the depreciation fund, I was hoping to get approved $12,000 to finish it up.
What are you guys looking to add to that truck, Chris?
Slide out top to put the pack pumps on. He's gonna make a stand to put cones on, fire extinguisher holders, speedy dry bucket holder things. So nothing out of the ordinary.
Sounds good.
And Earl's is a preferred vendor.
Curb, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Is there a motion to entertain Chris's request?
So move.
Sharon,
Second.
Mary, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Chief.
Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
on the old truck, he looked at that. There was a rust spot in the back. That was the original plan. So he's gonna fix that, and it needs a new front bumper, just for inspection wise. So probably looking at a couple $1,000 to fix that.
Okay.
I'm assuming that comes out of budget, not depreciation fund. Is
It's maintenance.
Yeah.
Maintenance would come out of, your equipment maintenance.
And then the plan is to move that to McKinley Avenue?
correct? Yep.
And the rec department has possession of our Ranger, or not yet?
Not yet. Well, we're waiting to get the body work done.
Okay.
So it should be soon. I'll call him tomorrow and tell him to schedule us in, so hopefully this month it'll be in there.
Anything for the fire department? Okay, Chief. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Chief Ed Dumas, Rutland Town PD. I told the board that we needed a short personnel executive session, so.
Yes, we do.
What else do you have for us, Chief?
So we have calls for service. The last 2-week period was 27 for us, and VSP had 11. I also like to mention we had a missing person on Sunday that Ted handled. as much as he could. Then with a joint effort with the state police and some federal agencies, they were able to locate the young lady and she's fine. But it was a lot of work on Ted's part and a lot of work for the state police. Couldn't have done it without him. So I'd like to thank him for that. Other than that, just the usual calls we have here at this point in time.
Chief Dumas mentioned to me the other day in passing that he had recently been at a meeting with the command colonel of the state police.
It was kind of something came up. I can't remember where the information came from. They're talking about the PSEPs where our calls come in through VSP in Westminster. They are talking about charging us departments, fire department, police departments for calls, the amount of calls they get to charge us for them. And they came up with a price of like somewhere around $61 a call.
No.
And would that be for the dispatching service, or that would be, for example, the VSP responded to a call in Rutland town?
I think that's just dispatching services.
So we have 220 calls for fire, and then you guys
about
have
1,000.
1,000. So we're talking $80,000 rough math.
Wouldn't
Yeah.
it behoove
For
us to
dispatching?
consider
Yeah.
Bringing back
dispatching
our own
ourselves?
dispatch?
From where?
Yeah.
From where?
Well, doesn't Lynette dispatch in here?
No.
No.
You'd have to have a radio system that,
Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
you're kind of, yeah, this is not something any one town can jump into. It's,
No, but this is one. The reason I wanted Chief
Regional
Chief
thing.
to bring this up is I think we have a platform to use that we could write a letter and ask other, all countywide towns to join in us signing this letter that we oppose this service that we already pay through our state taxes
Yeah.
as
Plus-
residents of this town.
don't we pay, Chris, isn't there $1,000 a year? Does that go, I thought that went for dispatch services, so that's through the 29 or 28 mutual aid departments in Rutland County are all paying
Something.
something. You know, if everybody pays 1,000, that's 29,000, and then they want a per call charge. That gets pretty expensive.
Yeah.
So would the board be in favor of us doing a little more research and drafting a letter and, getting other towns to sign on?
Or do we want to talk with, the Rutland County Fire Mutual Aid, Chief Selector, still in charge?
Well, that
See, because this is all part of that.
So is any calls, including fire?
They're
as well
talking
as
fire and
police?
police, if I understand Ed right.
So that'd be, with 1,225 calls between fire and police, that'd be 74,725 to the town.
No.
And that's every town.
I don't know if that's phone calls or calls where they generate a case for us.
Right, so we need to find more
Yeah,
information.
and we've
don't
had
know.
this go-round between, some cases get sent to the state police and some get sent to us and then they're piled up here. And
Right.
are those the ones we're then gonna also be charged for because the state police doesn't take them?
I think this just has to do with the calls that the town gets, period.
So will you do more research for us, Chief, and report
Yeah.
back in 2 weeks?
I'll talk to you about it. Yeah. I'll see what
Okay.
I can do.
Somehow.
Yeah.
So we can sound intelligent and we can articulate our concerns?
Okay.
I'd like to know if they're talking just the police department or if it's all dispatching services coming out of the, down there.
Well, they dispatch for
Everybody.
everybody. Regional
I mean,
ambulance.
the city has their own dispatch
They
for
do.
their PD and fire, and the sheriff's department has their own. Am I correct? Or
Yes.
they were, yeah. So any other, pretty much all of the other small police departments
Depend on them.
depend on,
Yes.
on the state police to do the dispatching on it, and that's out of Brattleboro, right? Bellows Falls, Brattleboro.
Westminster.
Westminster now.
Yeah.
You know, used to be
two-
out of McKinley Avenue, but
Right.
somebody had this bright idea of moving, keep making them smaller, so.
So we get to pay more for less service.
Well, you're paying for about the same service, but you're paying a lot more, because they dispatch,
Well,
like I said, they dispatch all the mutual aid fire departments.
I think
all the
that- I
Rutland
think that-
County.
I don't want to speak for the fire chief, but I think you could agree that, because I know we've had this conversation, that the quality of dispatching is less since they left McKinley Avenue. For example, 2 days ago, we were dispatched for a pole down, and they said it was in Rutland Town. It was in front of Olympic Pizza on Woodstock Avenue. So, you're not even close to the town border. Now, if a dispatcher lived locally, would have known that, and instead, it's just a mess. So, the quality of service isn't what it once was.
And they want you to pay more for that poor quality.
Right.
Yes,
It's not acceptable.
that's all I have.
All right, anything for the chief? We'll
I
get,
I just want the public to know the two papers. So this is what our police department is doing. And I just think it's important because, you know, we hear people, somehow people don't understand that, we aren't operating 24/7. The manpower's not there. Someday we're gonna have to build to that because, but,
Maybe someday, yeah.
yeah. But that is what we're getting and so,
thanks, Sharon.
yep.
All right, chief, thanks. Appreciate it. All right, the town health officer is not here. Committee meeting updates. Don't believe we had any in the last 2 weeks. We still have to schedule one, maybe. Are you around next week or not?
Wednesday.
Okay, so we'll schedule one to talk about the technology policy.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and then nothing else, right?
Pre-bid meeting tomorrow morning, that's all.
Okay. What do you got, Bill?
We have received the certificate of highway mileage certification,
Oh, yeah.
which needs your signatures.
Okay, so this is a certificate of highway mileage, year ending February 10th, 2020. And this says we have a total of 58.142 total miles in the town of Rutland, and then 1.69 of class 4 and 0.19 of legal trail. And so this has all of us to sign. Would someone like to make a motion for that?
So move.
Second.
Sharon, Mary,
Question.
please.
So did we take care of those two little pieces that we moved from, what, class 3 down to class 4?
You'll see the documentation.
Yes.
on there.
Okay.
More documentation has to be sent in that I have, just like board minutes, letters to the
Yes.
landowners, that sort of thing, all has to go in with that to show the reclassification from 3 to 4.
Okay, good,
good.
thanks.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Jake to sign first. We talked about the list there. Nothing to report. Is there any new or old business not on the agenda which we should speak of?
I have a question.
Yes.
We spent about $80,000+ to hire a firm to do some engineering for that, road on the south end of town. And we pulled the plug on that, probably $20,000 from completion. Is there any way that we could figure a way to finish that and talk to them or do something and have those documents for future use or whatever? I mean, we were a little premature in doing that. And I don't think everybody on the board understood that, how much money we had invested, and then now, technically, you know, we just wasted it. And I'd like to either approach them or see if we could get some kind of consensus to just finish that step they were in. They just needed to do not much more. The cost wasn't that much, and I just don't know, you know.
Let's see what we did get from them, because they were doing some inventories down there, and so maybe we can ask Bill to pull out.
Yeah, I just don't know what we got. I mean, and I tried.
I remember seeing
yeah.
some of the stuff, but.
I really, you know, was trying to get that across that night, that we
Yeah, I
needed to
know.
just spend that last little bit of money, and whether we did the project or not, we needed the plans. We needed to do what they did, because that investment would have been ours then.
Yep.
And we were so
Yep.
close to not getting it, so
So
I'd really like to look into that.
Yeah. So I regret that we didn't finish it, and I was I was a dissenting voter on that, and I think it was short-sighted on my part to cast my vote that way when we were that close. I still don't support the necessarily doing the project today, but I do think that we spent that money, we were real close, and then the majority vote was to pull the plug on it. So I would support if we could figure out how to complete that and at least have it on the shelf for a
if
rainy
somebody
day
comes
if we
up,
decided
whatever.
to do it.
Because we're already doing stuff down in that area with the Ranbury Road project.
Right, I mean,
so-
there's some stuff, and
Yeah.
you know, there may be potential for some develop in that area, maybe we could get some help from somebody, and if we didn't have to go back and do the design engineering and the easement stuff, or all that stuff that we had, a private contractor might come in and say, okay, we'll do this, since you've already done this $100,000 worth of legwork. And
I think it's worth Bill at least having, starting the conversation with them to see how far away we are and what they've
whether
done.
we could resurrect that.
Doesn't cost us anything to ask the question, so.
Right.
But you're right, we should have probably,
Well,
we should have at least completed the plans,
Yeah.
Joe, and you're right, and, not one of my most proud votes as a board member, so. But, Mary, anything on that?
No, I mean, I wanted it completed at the time so we could go to the voters with it, and we didn't get that far, so.
I'd like to, if we can at least
But
just have it in hand.
They were doing a lot of work inventorying what was existing on site, and that's really useful information for anything in the future, so.
Yeah, regardless of
Yeah,
my personal opinion,
what
if
we
I
do with
support, right, if I
Yeah.
support the project doing it or not, it's something we should have the plans on the shelf.
Yep.
So,
I appreciate
this
that.
might have been this was probably before your time.
No, Sharon voted.
Wasn't Chris?
No, Sharon was here. It was last year. Or last year or the year before. It wasn't too long, but
How long you been here?
too long.
Too long.
All right.
I
Billy, you
filled
gonna
in
work
for
on it?
Chris's last,
Right.
Right, and then you got reelected.
then I got reelected.
Yeah, so she's been here a while.
All right, we need a motion to go into executive session with Chief Dumas, and
So
then we're
moved.
gonna call Howard next for personnel matters. Motion by Sharon, is there a second? Second by
Personnel
Mary.
matters, yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.